Yo, 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 everybody, what's up? OCD Mikey getting here just in the nick of time, 5 minutes late. Excuse my tardiness. Just got back into ATL. Look what I'm drinking tonight. You won't believe it. Freaking high fructose sugar bomb. But we had to eat quick, man, on our way home. And so we did so. Anyways, so I'm back from Chicago. I had a great time up in Chicago. You saw some of the rooms. I posted a couple of the videos. We're building the tribe as you guys speak. We are building the tribe nationwide and getting listening rooms, so you guys will be able to listen to Fisher and Fisher and Roland and Playback Designs in many all the big cities, and then headed into the smaller cities after that. So it was great hanging out. Did some great eating up there. Chicago is a very big foodie town. It's huge for food. What's up, Nick? Good to see you, brother. I haven't talked to you in a while, man. How you doing? Yeah, so it was good stuff, man. Being at the second rig that I was at today with the 670s, it was crazy. You know, certain systems, they get to a certain point where, and Tom, yours should be the same way. Not only do you hear it, but you feel it. You know, certain systems, they sound really good, and then certain systems, you hear them and you feel them at the same time. And the rig in Lincoln Park has definitely got that. You feel it on your skin surface, on the surface of your eyeballs and your femur bones. You know, you feel the music. It's great. So yeah, so Tom says, hey man, glad to have you back. Glad you had a nice break. Yes, yeah, I am too. The more I do this, the more life will be like one continuous break. The way we're putting things into place, I'll be able to hang out with tribe members and do events. We'll be doing our own tribe events, by the way. Fuck the audio shows. We're going to be doing our own events. With something just way more fun. We've got way more fun things to do. Than to hang out with a bunch of gray balls, listening to, and hey, I got gray balls. Okay. But you know what I mean? I'm teasing how old and decrepit the frickin' industry is. It's a joke. In many ways, all these old dudes posturing around like they're the shit. And it's like, oh God, it's such a nerd fest. And nothing wrong with being a nerd, but I'm telling you, we've got better things planned, man. And that's what I was up there. I was talking with my capital partners, and the sky is the limit at this point. It's basically whatever we can dream up. And we've got great ideas and great, everything's penciled out. We've got the full shit. Every little bit of our projections, of our plan, of our business plan, of how we're going to do everything. It's amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. 5 stars. All right. Fanny gives 5 stars. Thanks, brother. Joseph says he can feel it from here, man. You know it, buddy. He's got some kick-ass SN70s over there in Santa Barbara. Good evening, peeps. What up, man? Good to see you. Nick, what's up? Hey, Stereo. So yeah, Chicago's a cool town, man. I mean, it's like, I can't stand it in the winter, so forget Chicago anytime where it's cold. And it was cold up there, man. We came back to Atlanta, and I'm like, oh my God, the second we got off the plane, it was like we were blasted with warmth, you know, and no jackets here at all. No windbreaker, no hoodie, no, nothing. T-shirt here, even when it's like rainy and overcast, T-shirt weather. No way it's anything more than that. So that was cool. Coming back. But Chicago was great. Chicago's a really interesting town. It's like a little baby New York, the neighborhoods and all the stuff there. It's good to get a dose of the urban feel, man. I'm a city boy at heart. I'm really a city boy. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my rural areas and I love the outdoors and I love to be away from people. But when I haven't been in a city for a while, it's great to get back into one and get into get into the city life. Um, One thing I'll tell you about Chicago, man, there is an inordinate amount of female to male ratio. So if you're a single male, man, Chicago is your place for sure. It was incredible. Just like, I mean, it was obvious how many more females there are than males there, at least in the area where we were, which is Lincoln Park. And a little bit of the Gold Coast, Lincoln Park. We'd come down to the Loop area for a couple things. But just generally speaking, man, there's just women all over the place. It was just noticeable, just something I noticed. I'm like, God, just seems weird. What's up, Mikey and Tribe? Cheers, brother. Luther, what's up, Luth? Good to see you, man. Where from in Minnesota, the Twin Cities? Edina. Yes, sir. But we were in Chicago this weekend. Chicago was good. And we didn't even go to any audio stores. It's like, totally stupid. I mean, we did go to one because we needed to get a cable when I first got there. We needed to get a cable. So we went to Saturday Stereo Exchange. And you go into those places and you look around and I'm just like, it gives me anxiety, man. It's just so much dreck, it's just so much stuff that's just used and just unwanted. There's a couple cool pieces. You see some cool pieces and it reminds you of like, oh yeah, remember that brand Bedini? Like I hadn't seen that shit in forever. And I was like, oh yeah, remember them? Made in America, Class A amp, older than grandpa's balls, but $1,300 for a Class A 100-watt per channel. Thing probably runs hotter than shit because it definitely wasn't as big as 100-watt per channel should be. Edina, yeah, buddy, Edina. You're very right about the women thing. Always looked forward to Chicago. The House of Blues is one of the best venues. Yeah, man. We saw Kingston Mines. We saw Blues Chicago. We did not see House of Blues, but that is a cool place. I know the place. I've been there. We weren't down in that hood. We were up, I think, Kingston Mines, I think it's nearby Lincoln Park. We did a lot of walking. We could walk everywhere. But yeah, I mean, it is obvious. And, God bless whoever invented yoga pants. Whoever invented those, it's the most genius freaking thing for the men ever designed. It's like you see all the vittles. You see more ass than it's like, dude, it's great. It's like, what else could anybody want unless you don't like ass, which I do. It's great. Yoga pants. Anyways, and everybody's wearing, it's the thing. It's all the girls wear yoga pants. I don't think I'd like it if dudes wore yoga pants. It would be funny. I'd probably do a lot of laughing. Northfield and Rochester. Okay, then back to Oakland as an adult. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like Oakland. Oakland's definitely a gritty town. John Bedini was a good friend of mine, says Luther. Yeah, that's cool, man. Where was his stuff made? Was it a California company? Or was it like Connecticut, like so many of the others? Yeah, Nick, he knows what I'm talking about. You picking up when I'm laying down. What up, Rev? Rev's picking up a pair of 470, SN 470 Fisher and Fishers. We're getting those to him ASAP. And I've got a pair of 270s to ship tomorrow to Wisconsin. Man, they are just, every time I listen to them, I'm blown away, man. I'm just blown away. They're great. They are great. Do you teach men how to be successful with women? No, man. No, I don't. That's I think that stuff is silly. That's silly. That's total silly. You be yourself, and either you're a guy that attracts women or you're not. Otherwise, you're manipulating the situation and you're not being genuine. You're trying to game them, you know? So you think a woman likes a guy that games them? Only stupid women fall for guys that game them, you know? So if you're trying to get laid, it's one thing. If you're trying to actually find a meaningful relationship, you don't get taught how to do that. You're either a good guy or you're a douchebag. Good guys have meaningful relationships, douchebags don't. That's all there is to it. You don't get taught that. You get taught how to lay a girl. You get taught how to get laid. And then those are they're useless relationships. And after laying a million girls, not a million, whatever, a whole bunch, you just realize, okay, this is getting old, This is like, I want more than this. It's called growing up. Make up some men's yoga pants for tribe members, which are mandatory at meetups. Totally. No, like shirts, t-shirts tied up above the belly. Like you got to have what do they call that? Like a belly knot. And and then like a headband. and then scrunchy socks, white high top sneakers, and yoga pants. There you go. Or audio shows. Yeah, man. Wouldn't that be funny just to do some crazy shit like that? Highly suggest everyone watching Mikey's videos from about a year ago on his Fish and Fish tour. Oh yeah, so you were saying that Rev was telling me he watched my videos from a year ago on the tour in Germany, and he loved those videos. So it is good stuff. It absolutely is good stuff. You know it, buddy. You can only make love to him for about an hour, then you got to spend the other 23 with him. That's exactly it, right? And usually it's not so much making love. If you're playing a game to get laid, like at the club, oh, let me play this game, let me say some stupid funny shit and catch them off guard and keep them, and keep them off guard. Stupid. You might as well just pay for snatch at that point, which makes way more sense because then they leave, and you're going to end up paying one way or another. So, anyways, yeah, so it was fun. It was cool. Saw a couple, we walked by an audio store and looked inside, and I was just like, shook my head. I'm like, oh God, don't even want to go in. I'd rather go to the denim store, find some denim made in Chicago denim. Paying for it is cheating, isn't it? No way, man. It's smart. Paying for it is like somebody that is smart and wants to cut all the bullshit out, like none of the courting. Like, okay, so maybe if you're young, okay, and you got all the time in the world, but at some point you have more money than time, okay? At some point, right now, if you're young, you have more time than money. So then you want to spend the time trying your craft or whatever, and then at some point you don't have the fucking time for that shit. And you realize that a lot of it when you're young and trying to get laid, you're just listening to the bullshit babble. And you're just like, oh God, but you're willing to put up with it to get to the promised land, right? You're willing to put up with what you normally wouldn't put up with because you think there's going to be this reward at the end, this cookie. You get a fortune cookie at the end. But at one point you're like, I don't have time for that. And the experience is going to be the same. Although with one, I have to, put up with, I don't know, I have to spend all this time listening to this shit, or I can just, pay and have one that knows exactly how to talk and what not to talk about and not to babble and the proper things to say for the short time that you're together. And then you take care of business and then see you later. And so it's not cheating. No way. You're still a young man. I can tell. Once you get older, you understand the value of a hooker, but you got to be careful with that shit. And it's illegal. And, so you just go find whatever. another way to do it. There's all sorts of other ways. You can, there's all sorts of other ways. Sugardaddy.com. Who said that? Good evening, tribe. Drago checking in. Good evening, brother. How are you, man? Evanston. You forgot to say Evanston. It floats, flies, or F's. It's better to rent. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep, for sure. But look, man, we wouldn't give up our relationships. We have great relationships. But when you're not and you're into that whole, getting laid thing, at some point, it makes more sense. When you don't, not cheating on your woman. I don't suggest anybody do that. You're going to love the 470s, Rev. Look, Andrew was the last guy that got 470s. We got some 470s in at Bob Dundon's too in California that I'll be setting up shortly, and then Rev is getting some 470s. So and Andrew knows, man, and Rev, I'll help you get them set up in your room, and they're gonna crush, bro. Paying for it is somewhat acceptable in Japan as long as you keep your mouth shut. Yeah, there are some cultures in France and shit like that, or in some cultures where the men are actually expected to have I guess in Japan it's a concubine, right? Or a mistress, as long as you keep it quiet and she's, it's like a kept little, a mistress, and you don't, yeah. So in some cultures, that's just the way it is. Thanks, Andrew. Looking forward to the 470s. You know it. Mr. Walker has a trivia question. Do you remember the old gas Amzilla amplifiers? Did you ever hear one? No, I remember Amzilla. That was from Bon Giovanni or Bon. I think his name was wasn't that his name? I want to say Bongiorno, but it wasn't Bongiorno, but it was some Italian name. I thought it was Bon Giovanni or whatever that guy's name was. No, man, that guy is like a weird, like an outlier, like a Bob Carver. There's just these outlier guys that never really were part of the mainstream because they were just a little different, and I think they were. No, I've never heard Amsella. Doesn't matter how young or old we are, does it? Well, yeah, for sure. Because I'm not talking about. Oh, are you talking about like for women, or my comment saying you're probably a young guy? Because young guys and old guys think different, totally different. When you're young, you got all the time to waste. When you're old, you don't have time to waste. So it does matter, because it's a different whole thing. You're looking for a different thing. Typically older guys, unless you're retired and you got nothing to do with your time and you want something to futz with, then maybe having all the hi-fi that's all tinkery and shit, and you just love to putz around in your audio system and play with it all the time. There's a time when men just don't want to fuck with shit. They just want it to be easy and no drama and no problem. Young guys, you're still learning shit. It's still fun for you to learn. It's still fun for you to get your hand burned on the stove and all that shit. But at the shows, no, there are not young audiophiles. There are very few young audiophiles. So no, the majority are old. The industry is old. Okay, it's not a young, burgeoning industry whatsoever. It's a drying on the vine, crustifying industry. So the old balls are the ones that hold it together. There are no young guys holding the audio industry together. It's old guys that are holding the audio industry together. So, that's what I mean. I like sheep. I know you do, dude. You like more than sheep, dude. Do you treat a room for panel speakers differently than bass reflex? Yes, absolutely. If so, what's the difference? The difference is panel speakers don't reflect. They don't have early reflections off the side walls. They don't have ceiling reflections, floor reflections. Panel speakers beam straight at your ass. So you aim them at your ears basically, and they beam to you, and they're great for one spot and one spot only. That's how panels work. Okay. You can face them straight into the room and then get a wider soundstage, but it becomes flat then at that point. And if you want it deep, then you got to tow them in, and then it's perfect for one person. A bass reflex or a standard box speaker is going to have, typically speaking, depending on the tweeter arrangement, a wider sweet spot, and better off-axis response is how they refer to that. Typically, the bass is going to react a little different as well. You're going to have more concussive dynamic bass out of a box speaker than you are a panel. So you deal with them differently. You definitely have to be aware of reflections with box speakers as well. And you need to be cognizant of the bass. Typically with a panel speaker, you're going to have to supplement with subwoofers. And then you have to be very cognizant about where those subwoofers go. You can spend months or longer keep trying to figure out where your subwoofers go. If you just plop subs in where they were in the other guy's room and you put them into your room and you have a different room, different dimensions and all that, the subs aren't going to work. It took us 2 months, and I know what I'm doing. Now it would be less, but at the time, I remember it taking us 2 months to get my tower, those big panels and the subwoofers, so that they were seamless, where you just couldn't even tell there were subs in the room. You know what I mean? Hey, Mikey, dance the tariffs away. There is no tariffs. I don't know what tariffs you're talking about, bro. With all due respect, Charles, I love you, buddy, but I got a couple guys that talk to me, tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. It's like, fuck the tariffs. There is no tariffs. What? Has it stopped business? No. Has it stopped me from buying anything? No. Do I even fucking notice it? No. But people love to complain about it. You know why? Because the news makes you scared of it. The news loves to tease you and like yank your strings like a marionette. That's what the news does. I had someone call me and he's watching. Well, I'm not going to say who because maybe he doesn't want me to know. But he was saying something about tariffs, and I said, I'll bet you, I can't even remember what I said, $50. I'll bet you $50. He said, dude, Trump just said he's going to do 50% tariffs on all the EU union thing. I said, I'll bet you $50 that that's bullshit, that it's not even going to happen. Sure enough, today we talked, oh, did you see he postponed them? I'm like, of course he does, dude. All this shit about tariffs is to get these people at the table to negotiate. It's a scare tactic. I mean, you guys ought to know it by now. There is no tariffs to worry about. When there is, I'll let you guys know because I'll complain about it. Hey, Mike, how would you compare the OnTech DAC 08 versus AA DAC? The AA DAC is more real sounding. It just has better realism. It's a better DAC. And the best way to say it is it's better realism. Now, aside from that, the AA DAC has a volume control, so you don't need a preamp. With the new OnTech, you need a preamp. So you should take the cost of the new OnTech DAC and add it to the cost of your preamp to get the cost of the AA DAC. So your new OnTech is $2,500. If you've got a $2,500 preamp and you don't have vinyl, you might as well just get an AA DAC, because that way when you're listening to digital, it's going to sound better, even if you're not using a preamp. So, yeah, so that is the difference. You also get a headphone output with the AA DAC. And I'm not sure if you can use, I can't remember on the new OnTech, I think you can use both simultaneously, the balanced and the unbalanced. You definitely can on the AA DAC. So, and I'm wondering about the output on the AA DAC. I know the AA DAC is absolutely dual differential output and balanced, meaning I don't know if it is on the new OnTech. I can't remember if it's truly differential output or not, but either way, does not matter, because in the end, whether you're young or old, we all die. Okay, so definitely a young guy. Yes. In Italian, you call it your kumata. What's that? Kumata. What is that? I can't remember. I've already lost what we talked about. What about Jay-Z Aggie? He's young. Yeah, he is young. But what he's got DIY guys and, you know, $2,000 amps and stuff like that. Jay's a great guy, by the way. I know him and I like Jay. Jay is young. So that's one guy. Did you buy any fine rugs while there? I did not. The Great American Sound and Sumo dude is the late James Bongiorno. There you go. Yeah. Did you make it to Evanston shop? No, dude. I'm not traveling out to Evanston. I stayed in the city, dude. I'm like, I don't want suburbs. When I'm in Chicago, I don't want any of the suburbs. And don't mean to diss on where you live, but fuck the suburbs, man. That city is about the city. It's about the L train. It's about the loop. It's about Gold Coast, about the river. It's about the drawbridges, the Wacker building, the Trib building, River North. That's where the shit is happening there. I would not want to be in any of the suburbs. To me, it's gross out there. It's not my thing. And again, not to diss, because it's probably gross where I live too, but you know, when I go to Chicago, I'm in or and around the river, the drawbridge, Gold Coast, by the lake. You know, like what makes Chicago Chicago is not the suburbs. What makes Chicago is the loop and the rivers. That is what makes Chicago, and those old ass buildings and the killer brownstones and the architecture and in the city and the neighborhoods that you cruise around in. You know, it's just, that's what makes Chicago. So it's you could be anywhere. You're out in the suburbs. It's just like, I could be in fucking Iowa, you know. Granted, they're probably going to have better food out in the suburbs than they would in the suburbs of Chicago or in the suburbs of Iowa. But Chicago's about the city for me. What sound differences are between NAT transmitters and GM70 monos? They're very similar in the sound differences. It's just the transmitters are stronger. So what does that mean? The transmitters are more versatile. You can use them with more speakers. They're not as pigeonholed as the GM70s. Now, that being said, this is a very strong GM70. We had it playing at Capitol Audio Fest, and people were saying best sound in show. And we had the room filled with bass, strength. I mean, they were kicking ass. And those are 30 watts of Class A. They're strong 30 watts of Class A. Are they 40? They're 40 watts of Class A, because the transmitters are double that. They're 80 watts of Class A. That in Class A tube power, single-ended triode, that is a lot, man. Typically, 8 watts is enough when you have that configuration. When you have single-ended triode, Class A tube, 8 watts usually kills it, man. It's more than enough. In this case, you've got 30 with the GM70. You've got 80, which is absolutely freaking unheard of from one tube. And I won't even talk about 160 like their top of the line, which is, there is no amp in existence like that tube amp. There is no tube amp in existence like that. This thing can crush the way 1,000-watt solid state monoblock does. And you can ask the people that come here, you know, you can ask the people that come here. As a matter of fact, we will have 1,000-watt monoblock showing up here, pair of monoblocks. And I'll be able to compare, and I'll tell you guys the difference. Now, clearly, 1,000-watt monoblock made by this company that I know pretty well will control things, I'm sure, stronger and tighter. But there is no loss of fidelity using those 160 Class A watts with a 1.9 ohm load, or is it 2.9? I'm sorry, wait, 1.9 ohm load on those speakers. I can't remember what frequency, like 40 hertz or whatever, 38 or something like that. It's 1.9 ohms. So the sound is very similar. The sound of the NAT amps are very open, airy, and detailed. They're very resolute and smooth. I missed a few shows cruising in the Smokies in my new Miata Sports convertible. Awesome, dude. That's great, man. Taco. Uh-oh. What does TACO stand for? What's the acronym? Can't remember. Tacoma truck. That's what a TACO is. Let's see if I can look it up on Google. TACO acronym. What's the acronyms TACO stand for? Trump always chickens out. Okay, there you go. He's not chickening out, dude. If this is what you're referring to, he's using a strategy. It's not he's chickening. He's not serious in the first place. You have to understand this guy plays games, dude, on a high level. He's a game player. He also knows how to market very well. By saying something like I'm gonna put 50% tariffs, all of a sudden all the news and everybody's attention is on tariffs. So it is a technique to get people's attention on tariffs. It's a very planned, calculated technique of marketing and attention to put attention on things. If he wants to he says something about Putin being crazy. Right now, everybody talks about Trump said Putin's crazy. Let's hear what Putin has to say, all this stuff. And it puts attention on the fact that that Russia is bombing civilian targets. Okay, so he wants to put attention on that and bring the world's attention to that. Then he controls the media. If Trump does not say things like that, then it will be up to Bloomberg and it'll be up to, the Washington Post. Who's that? Jeff Bezos. It'll be up to those guys to lead the narrative. When Trump says crazy shit, he will bring attention to things the news is not putting attention on. And he'll do that on purpose. And so knowing this, that's why I bet $50 that the tariffs aren't going to do anything, because I understand his technique. I understand what he's doing. A lot of people get all, crazy and goofy and Trump's crashing the economy. It's like so fucking hilarious. It's like, no, Trump is not crashing the economy. Stocks are on sale, bitch. Time to buy. Don't be a dumbass and just sit there like a scared chicken. Buy, take advantage of it. That rarely happens at shit like that. There's corrections like that. When corrections happen and shit drops out, you buy, man. You don't sit and complain and sell, or God forbid you sell, but complain and get all scared and just like reactionary. It's just funny to watch people react. Trump knows people react, and he uses that against them, or uses it for his prerogative, for his narrative. He uses it. So it's, once you understand the technique, it's just like me saying, I've done it before. I've said shit like, what do I say? Vinyl sucks or something like that, right? I mean, which I don't think I've ever said that, but I use on purpose incendiary, and I haven't done this in a long time, but I think I might do it soon. There's one that I've been thinking of using, but I don't know if I could get away with it because it's borderline. It was saying something is totally gay, and people would freak, they'd freak. Oh my God, he said this is gay or whatever. But it's just, I know that word is going to tweak people. So knowing that, I could drop a bomb, okay, a verbal bomb in a title of a video, and it would the shock wave. There would be no person in audio that didn't hear about my video. So knowing that, I can use it strategically, and I can purposely drop a bomb using incendiary terms, or terms that are very, not necessarily incendiary, but touchy terms. And it's a technique. All of a sudden, did you see what Mikey said? Oh my God, OCD Mikey did a video, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, ha, gotcha. Okay. You don't think I know that? So it's a similar thing. So I understand the technique. That's why I understand it. When I hear it, I'm like, I'll bet you $50 that nothing's going to happen. Are the old Cinepro 2-channel amps good for stereo applications? They can be, sure. It depends on which one. Some of them had AC fans, some of them didn't. It was $20 because I knew I was dealing with you, brother. I would have bet 500, but you would have never gone for it. You didn't even go for the $20, bro. I gave you low-hanging fruit and you didn't go for it. I would have bet 500 to somebody that I felt would have gone for it. Because I know it. I'm not, but I figure, oh, it's Dan. He's not going to want to go hard. Let me offer 20. And you didn't even go for 20. So do I really have OCD? No, man. It's tongue in cheek. I don't have OCD. It's tongue-in-cheek making fun of audiophiles because everybody who is a real audiophile is somewhat OCD, okay? And when I started this channel, I was very much a tail-chasing typical audiophile. I was always reporting on all this different shit, this and that and this and that, and nothing was ever satisfying me. Nothing left me. So I was trying all this crazy shit, but at the same time, I was learning it because I'm arming myself for battle. I'm like, I need to learn about single-ended triodes so I can talk about them to my customers because this is my career. So I need to have an active quad amp system where I'm using active four-way active speakers, four-way active crossover. I have the crossover. See if I still have. I had this made. I commissioned this to be built. Right here is a crossover. This is a four-way crossover. You know how heavy this board is? I can't even flex it. That's how I gave the spec. Make it this thick so it doesn't flex. There is no op amps on this crossover. This is 100% discrete crossover, meaning resistors and capacitors. And so I went crazy with all that shit. I went crazy, all different cable. I'm a cable designer, so I was trying all sorts of nano materials, powders and crystals and all sorts of shit. And I could get things to change. I know how to change a sound of a cable by adding a certain material to it. I know how to make it more analytical and precise. I know how to make it softer and more relaxed in the cable just by using materials. I know what materials to use to make that and to do that. So I went down the rabbit hole. I went as kooky as you could possibly get. And that's where Gary Anderson from Florida used to call me up. He's from New York. He lives in Florida now, though. And he calls me up and he goes, OCD. That was his nickname for me, OCD. He just called me OCD. He didn't say hi-fi guy. And then when I was thinking about doing the channel, I'm like, why don't I just do OCD hi-fi guy? Because I go to 11. I go further than anybody else. I'm going to take it farther. I'm going to figure out and what came of my foray into going down the rabbit hole is my patent in connector design. I have a patent that is the only way you're ever going to get a cable to have pure silver from the inside board, like you saw there, inside the amplifier, all the frickin' way to the coil of the speaker, with all in silver, without having any solder, without having any dissimilar metals. It's never been done. I invented it. And that's from me going down the rabbit hole and getting all OCD and nutty. At some point, and it was, I remember the exact point. I got a Playback Designs MPD8, and I didn't even know about MPD8. And one of my clients said, hey, I've heard this is a really good DAC. If you get one, I want you to listen to it. And if you say it's great, I'll buy it. And I said, fair enough, man. I'll check it out. He said, otherwise I won't if it's not great. So I got them to send me one to try. They sent me one. I listened to it. I was like, you got to freaking be kidding me. What the hell is this brand? How come I don't know about it? What is the deal? Who are these guys? Then I did the background and I find out Andreas invented sample rate conversion in 1984. He worked at Sony and developed SACD. He's like granddaddy digital music. I'm like, Jesus, I can't believe I don't know about this brand. This is kooky. Now I'm the top seller in the globe of Playback Designs. It's just that good of a design, and it's because of the mind behind the design. And so when I heard that Playback Designs, it got rid of my audio anxiety. I went from needing to change shit all the time because nothing ever cut the turkey to being like, oh my God, my sound is finally sorted. And I could stop chasing my tail. And it happened from that. The next spot where I got that, and then I created this speaker system, this very elaborate speaker system using panel speakers, 6 12-inch subs, that active crossover that you saw. And it was just tons of moving parts. I mean, I had it dialed perfectly, but it's like, don't touch one dial or knob or it's going to be off, And then I had somebody fly in. One of my clients flew in on his private jet and he came to listen to my rig, and he said, I've gone to a couple of the YouTubers' house, listened to their rigs. Yours is for sure the best, better than any dealer I've heard. I want to buy it. And I'm like, dude, I would never do this to you, because, you know, you're going to put it in your home in another country. And then what if something goes wrong? You're going to have to send your jet to get me to come back and fix it, you know? And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't sell people elaborate shit. I need to sell people things that are simple, that work well, but they have to be able to produce a result like the squirrely system, right? The squirrely systems sound really wicked, but you just can't reproduce them. You can't in any meaningful way. So I made a pact. The second I can beat my big panels with a speaker, I'm going to do it. And that's when my second milestone in the career was Fisher and Fisher. So first it was Playback Designs, then it was Fisher and Fisher. I had Nat Audio the whole time throughout that. Once I got Nat Audio, once I got Fisher and Fisher and MPD8, I basically don't ever need another speaker or another DAC. I could just they are so good, and they are so unparalleled, and they can treat every genre of music. There is nothing that they can't do and do well. That my plan or my business, my trajectory of what I do has turned into specialist. Instead of being a guy that has a whole bunch of shit and just always different things and blah, 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 blah. I'm a fucking specialist at this point. I know how to come in my karate, or what did it say? My kung fu is honed down to expert level. I have a system, one system. Essentially, there's a couple little variables, but essentially one basic system that I can put in any room, anywhere, and it is going to blow minds, play every genre of music, play it as light or as loud as you want. It'll do more than you expect it to, and you'll be completely happy, starting at $10,000 and going all the way to $210,000. And so that is what happened. So I became very much non-OCD Mikey through this whole process. And if you go back to my beginning of my videos, 1,000 or whatever, 1,500 videos ago, you'll see my kooky videos where I was still kooky, doing kooky stuff, building my own shit. Like I was building, all my designs, I was showing you how I was doing them. Crazy power strips with the top line Furatech stuff. And then I bought 5 nines Purity silver bus bar and bringing them, and everything had a home run back to the plug, the main plug, and then shielding them with a Faraday shield, and then putting a ground, a top line WBT silver plug that connects to the full copper shield inside there that drains out any RF. It's like, I was doing good, and then building my slurry of epoxy with certain crystals and certain nanomaterials, and then pouring that over this, over the backs of the sockets. And man, you plug into those things, it's completely passive. There's not any resistors or any capacitors, nothing in there. It's completely passive, but they were just the most fantastic audio distribution, AC distribution that you could buy. That's a lot of work. That was a lot of work, and I was putting a lot of work into that. At this point, I'll go back, but I'll tell people how to make shit. I will commission builds. We will have companies that make things according to how I design, but I'm not going to be the guy doing it anymore. So I just got a lot more simple. And like I said, if you go back in my videos, you'll see Kooky Mikey, and then you come forward, and now you see a guy who has turned into a specialist, isn't all over the map with something new every different time. I specialize in curating audio systems for people, and that's what I do. This YouTube thing is just how you guys find out about me, but this is not what I do. And that's a difference. You brought up Jay Ziagi or some of the other YouTubers. That is what they do, man. They do YouTube. They are professional YouTubers. I'm not. I'm a professional audio system curator and tribe and enthusiast group builder, which is what's happening across the United States with our group, because we don't succumb to all the little tweaky bullshit that the industry has you believe in. You think that you're supposed to be audio anxiety, squirrel chaser, tail chaser. If you want to do that, there's the rest of the industry for that. Okay, I'm creating a different industry where it's cut and dried, and you rely on somebody else's expertise to put something together for you. And it's not a matter of, oh, well, you have to hear it yourself. It's like it's guaranteed to blow your mind. Okay, what I decide, I will decide all your components. You won't decide shit. You'll just decide how much you're going to spend. And then maybe you, oh, I want this color or that color. Maybe I don't need something this big. I want some. So there's a little discussion that goes back on, but it's from a very specific pool of products. They don't change, man. I'm not changing underwear all the time. It's been the same damn DAC because it's the best in the marketplace. It's been the same Jeff Rowland amplifiers because in many ways, those are one of the best solid state amplifiers made for sure. I just listened to them in 2 different rigs this weekend, and they freaking crush. So it's become much more simplified, and the results are guaranteed. So we're just doing it a different way. The Hi-Fi Tribe and what I'm doing is completely, it's like the black sheep up there. I'm not doing it the industry way. The industry way is dying on the vine, and it's crusty, and they have you confused, buying shit all the time, changing things out. There's no loyalty to any brands. Because it's about keeping you buying and selling in perpetuity, never being satisfied. I'm the guy that says, I'm going to get you to the point where you're satisfied so you don't have to worry about hi-fi. We can do other shit. Let's do cool events. Let's go do motorcycle tours together. Let's do a tribe motorcycle tour. Let's do tribe. It goes on and on, bro. I mean, it's endless. Okay. Hi-fi and only concentrating on hi-fi and getting you to buy and sell is extremely myopic, and it's manipulation of your time. I'm manipulating you to get you stuck in a rut of buying and selling hi-fi. And that's what the industry does. The industry tries to steal your time and make you only focus on hi-fi, which is out of balance, in my opinion. I think it's completely out of balance. It's unfair to you guys, and it's mistreating people. And it's complete manipulation for the purpose of profit. Okay. And it just, so I'm bucking the system. I'm ramming my horns into the establishment. That is why it's a black sheep up there, because I don't give a shit. Okay. I don't need to make any friends in the industry. I've already got my friends. They already know who I am, and they know why I'm doing this. They don't have the willingness to say the things that I do, but I'm unapologetic. I will say it as I feel it. So anyways, that's what you guys come to me for. So anyways, I don't have OCD. OnTech DAC 08 is around 5K. Oh, the DAC. Oh, yeah. Okay. So there is no difference between the DAC 07 and the DAC 08. There's no reason to buy the DAC 08 at 5K, in my opinion. It's a chassis difference. And then they give you bigger capacity on the power supply filter caps, but that's it. It's the same identical board as the DAC 07. So I don't see any value in the DAC 08. Kumada is your side chick. Oh, okay, cool. Kumada. Am I saying it right? And that's different than a Bhutan, right? Can you advise on how to get pinpoint imaging? This is something that yes, the answer is yes. Okay. But this is something that is valuable information. Okay. It's not something that I'm willing to just tell anybody how to do it. There will be, okay, hang on a second, because we got to get Nikki on the phone here. Let me see here. Hey.
Nick Sardone. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Okay, let's see. Press 1. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Mikey.
How are you, buddy? Let me get you on. You called to get on the live stream, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump on, say what's up to the tribe.
Okay, cool, man. Let me join you right now. Okay, you should be there, Nick. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, Mikey?
What's up, brother? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I wanted to call in, say what's up to the tribe, see how everyone's doing tonight.
Excellent.
And I wanted to chime in on the conversation we were just having here.
Cool, man.
Mikey ranting and raving about the professionalism.
Yes.
So what I got to say is, when I started my audio journey, like I think a lot of these guys are, I'll tell you, I was a young kid about like 17 years old or something, just about college. And I'm walking around Chinatown and I see a hi-fi shop for the first time in my life. And I walk there and the guy doesn't speak a lick of English.
Oh, you're kidding.
So, yeah. So there was this one guy, though, he spoke a couple of words, but I saw some components and stuff, thought it was really cool. And I started pointing at stuff. And the guy plays for me Stevie Ray Vaughan, Tim Pan Alley. Now, you have to understand my listening habits back then. Back then, I was listening to nothing but hip hop music. I was like all into, Biggie Smalls and Tupac and listening to that. So this was something that I never listened to. But when I on his system, I was floored. And I thought to myself, whenever I listened to rock and roll, I never liked it. I never thought it sounded good. Never had bass, never had anything that grabbed me. But this song all of a sudden did. So I got the name down because back then it was CDs. And I went home and I bought the CD and it sucked. It sounded like shit. I'm like,
for sure.
And what I realized was, man, I want to go down this audio path and check out what this stuff is, because it would be cool to like listen to all this music that my sister was listening to, my mom was listening to, and, music that I really didn't have any enjoyment out of. And I was, I thought to myself that if you got a really good audio system, what's going to happen is it's just going to sound better, and you might actually enjoy it. And I wanted to open up a little bit back then, kind of
expand your horizons.
Yeah. I wanted to go on a little exploration.
Yep.
So that's when I start, I go into Barnes and Noble back then and I find Stereophile and Home Theater magazine. And I start subscribing and I start getting all the magazines sent to my house, right? Getting like 5 magazines a month, and I'm reading all about this stuff. Well, long story short is, on this path, I found Mikey about 5 years ago, when Mikey was going down this whole rabbit hole, and I was watching all the things he was doing, and I was copying him,
Cool. There's a handful of guys that did that. Yeah.
Yeah. And, back then, so I was still young. I couldn't afford a lot of the stuff. So what I did was I started learning how to build stuff.
Yep.
And I found Nelson Pass and Bottlehead and all these guys, and I started buying kits and building stuff and going down that whole thing. And what I realized on this journey, when you're looking at these guys that are constantly turning and changing equipment out, you start to ask that question, why are you learning all of this stuff? I think it's an important question to ask. Is it like, are you going to make a career out of this? Or is your intent to do something with it? Because you're putting a very high level of education into something that you're really not going to use except for yourself.
Right.
And, and what I realized is I built a couple of systems that they sounded really good, but, I would just play my playlist, right? I would take the same playlist, I would take the same 20 songs and play them through my system. And I wasn't expanding myself. I wasn't finding new music.
Right.
I wasn't going out and hearing things that I go, you know what? I don't really listen to opera because it just doesn't sound that great to me. Well, it really does. It really does, I watched the clip today where you were playing like some Muller.
Mahler. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I would have never listened to that stuff in the past.
Right.
So
me neither.
Yeah, I would have never until I got now. I consider myself lucky that I built enough stuff and I played around enough that, I got a system that I'm very content with, and I feel like I don't need to change a thing. Now, whatever I'm doing, I'm just playing with. But my system is sorted. But it took me so many years. I'm talking maybe 15 years of doing this.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the guys on the stream, you got to ask yourself, like, do you really want to put in all this time and effort to learn all about equipment? Or you could just find a guy like Mikey or someone you trust and you just buy the system that just blows you away.
Right.
Once you do, you can stop watching YouTube videos and reading magazines, and you can just start exploring and finding music.
Yes.
Now,
that's a great point.
Yeah, and what I learned is everyone says, like, is it better? Is it better? Well, you know what's better is honestly when you stop going through your saved playlist.
Yeah.
And you start going out.
Yeah, totally, brother.
Right?
Yeah, totally. So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
that's the key.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. And it's just like Nick says, it's like you ask yourself, why do I do this? Do I do this to do 2-minute demos, song after song after song, or do I do this to connect with music and explore music and go on this musical journey and connect with the music for whatever emotion I'm feeling at the time? Sometimes you just want to listen to hard ass rock and roll because you have that aggression feeling or whatever, and you just want to listen to some shit that kicks ass. Other times you want to listen to gentle, maybe love songs or some shit like that, and you feel like, oh, well, who did a really good love song that's like, vocal and acoustic guitar? Well, maybe I tried Joni Mitchell. I never really knew much about her. Maybe, not my thing. Or, wow, I never knew, or more Chiba or something, or, Joan Baez or whatever the fuck, Dua Lipa or whatever, any of the modern shit. It could be anything, right? But it's about the music. And you're right. And it's such a good point, Nick, because I remember when I was doing all my crazy shit, like you talk about, and trying everything, I was not enjoying the music. All I was doing is listening to differences in gear and in changes of tweaks. And I would use the same shit over and over. Listen to the change, listen to the change, listen to the change, listen to the change. I thought that's what hi-fi was all about until I had that playback designs. Then I'm like, holy shit, I'm connecting with the music all of a sudden. My thoughts are no longer, what does it sound like? My thoughts are, who wrote this tune? What's it about? Like, when was it written? Jesus, this is heavy duty, or whatever, and you get into the music, which is really, and look, if some people, I guess, want to stay, there's the saying, right, Nick, you've probably heard it. Audiophiles, what is it? Audiophiles use music to listen to the gear, and music lovers use the gear to listen to the music,
Yeah, totally.
And they're two different things, but one is, to me, is empty. Listening to the gear is empty and it's boring. It ends. There's an end point for that. You'll do it for a while and it'll be exciting while you're listening to different changes and new different things. And then it gets tired and then you're done. You're like, I really just would like to enjoy the music. I actually,
totally, man. Like,
go ahead.
Go. Yeah, I was just say, I watched Mikey when he had those 17 DACs in his room.
That's right. I had 17 fucking DACs.
Yeah, you really got to ask yourself, like, who really wants to do that? Like, this stuff is not even live, and it takes up a ton of room.
Oh, totally. Someone sent me. I got to send. Oh, go ahead, because I'm going to show you guys a picture.
I was going to say, for myself, I have a bunch of stuff and things that I built or bought. And it's like, now I got to stack them in the shelf or stick them in a closet. Oh. And it's like, dude, like, I'm not doing this and making a buck off of it where I'm like, I'm educating myself, right? I'm the professor of audio. But there's guys out there that are that, Mikey took on that role. And we got to just say that we're pretty damn lucky that some guy went out there and did all that homework for us,
Yeah. And
now all we got to do is stop.
That's kind of the thing, it's like you ask yourself, do you want to, learn how to tune a formula car, if you're a race car driver or whatever? Do you just want to get the guy to do it for you? Maybe that's a little extreme, but a doctor, do you want to learn how to do, that's also a bad comparison because after COVID, a lot of us had to become our own doctor and learn how to be healthy. Right. But, there's just some point, a lawyer, for instance, do you want to learn all the laws about to do something? Or do you want to just go to a professional where they tell you? Or real estate, like investing. Okay. Like, perfect example for me. Do I want to learn all the ins and outs of investing, or do I want to go to somebody that has spent their freaking lives learning that shit, and that is their profession? I hire somebody and I ask them tell me about investing, you know, and then they help me with it. I defer to them. So I use their expertise. And this is a part of what the tribe does too. And I haven't told you guys this, but moving forward, there will be different tribe experts in different fields. I've got a watch expert. I've got a firearms expert. I've got, attorneys, several attorneys, financial experts, guys that will, as part of what will be coming is a different tribe. You guys, I'm not divulging all of this, but that will be part of what's included in our tribe. Will be experts in different areas. So you defer to them, man. You don't have to, and they're all people that we know and trust because they're part of the tribe. We know them, so we know here we can trust what this guy's telling us about investing or about, watches or whatever. They'll be tribe approved. So it's pretty cool.
I just throw in there, whatever you're going to invest in, just follow Nancy Pelosi because that girl's on a rocket.
I just said that to someone the other day. My investment guy is in Chicago, who's an expert in the area, and I said, what about, why don't we just buy everything Paul Pelosi buys? I'm like, wouldn't that be like a solid way to do it? And he said, well, you can't see what Paul Pelosi buys. Like there's only certain things that are public and blah, blah, blah. He told me about the whole thing, but I'm good. Yeah, but I was thinking the same way. Here's my room. And this is funny. Look at this. This is a picture of my room, bro, from back in the day. Remember when you're talking about, that was how my shit looked. It ridiculous. Like I had shit everywhere, but those speakers right there. They're for sale, by the way.
Those are the field coils.
They're badass field coils made by Feastrex. Yeah, I mean, very, very hard to find, rare. I got them from a customer who's very wealthy. Those things on the outside, those went to Dano. Those were Vienna Acoustics. I got those in on trade. I bought a guy's system. It's just crazy. So all that shit, I've simplified it. There's no reason for all that shit, but I went through all that in order to be able to sift through it and find what's the important shit. What are we really after? We're really after, if you're tribe people, you're music people, right? And if we're really after the music, then let me find the brands that connect us to the music. And I've done it, from starting with the new OnTech all the way up. So I appreciate your feedback, Nick. I remember, Nick. I remember the first time he called. I remember talking to you, brother. You have come a long way. Yeah, next thing I know, he's sending me pictures of he's building shit. I'm like, holy shit. And he's building it well, man. He's using all the good parts. He did a lot of research. Listen,
I was listening to Mikey, when he was telling me use thicker plates, all those videos, Mikey's going to educate you. You don't really have to go on the journey. When you watch a lot of the old videos and you go back 5 years ago, even up to 3, Mikey's going to teach you a lot of things in terms of how things are built and where to find the good shit.
Yeah. Yep. That, and again, that was part of OCD Mikey. Once I got to where I am now I'm just going to help you build a system where we're not inside it, where you can just receive a crate that has everything soup to nuts, a complete system. That's what's coming. So.
All right. So I'm going to jump off the stream, but what I got to say is, I want everyone to put a 1 in the comments and make Mikey know that we're never changing his name. He's always OCD Mikey.
Right on, man. Right on. Give a thumbs up. Okay, Nick. Thanks, brother. Right. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.
See you. Classic. That's Nick from the Bronx. Brooklyn. I'm sorry. Brooklyn. Anyways, yep. So, well, let's see. Okay. I was just checking. Cool. So, where am I? Oh yeah. So you were asking a question about on how to get pinpoint imaging. I did a video. If you look at a couple videos back, there are some fine, it's speaker placement. Okay. In one sentence, pinpoint imaging, it's a couple things. One, you have to have a DAC that images well. You have to have your amps can either be diffuse or image well. You have to have speakers that are capable of imaging well. And then you need to set those speakers right in the room. And then you need to get a good combination of imaging well and bass response, because those two are completely intertwined, and you can get one and not the other, and you can get the other and not the one, but you need both. So really, in the end, and this goes back to what Nick was just talking about, and what we will be bringing with the tribe, is that there will be setup experts that will come to your room. We're not going to expect you to learn how to do it, okay? You can sit there and go on the forums, and you're going to get totally misled about how to get pinpoint imaging, and every little blind leading the other blind is going to try and tell you what they think, and you're going to spend years and years and years trying to get it right. When you're part of the tribe and you buy a tribe audio system, we're going to come and set it up for you so that so that it's certified, so that it is set up and it's dialed and it's done right. So that is coming right up. Yeah, I can advise you, but it's like asking a doctor, can you advise me how to excise a mole? Well, you could just take a knife and cut it off, lop it off, and it's achieving that you're removing the mole. But there's probably a technique to excising a mole from your cheek or whatever in a proper way, so that you don't have a endless hemorrhage or bleeding or whatever. And so it's like asking, how do you get pinpoint imaging? It's really best to have somebody that knows how to do it come and do it. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time. And basically, it's just moving your speakers. If you got it, just keep moving your speakers, toe them in, toe them out, move them apart, move them together, get them to where they disappear. That's the idea. That's what we do. So don't be afraid of moving them around. Charles, nice ride. Danny likes your Miata. With Magnapan 3.7i, would GR Research set of open baffle substacks beat a pair of good Rhythmic brand subs? I've got no idea. The thing about the open baffle substacks is you have to build your own shit, and it's not for the faint of heart. If you don't know what you're doing, it's going to look like ass. It will just look like some DIY piece of shit. Okay. Unless you know woodworking and joinery, or somebody that has a CNC that knows how to do that. Even when I gave the plans to my guys, they had to enter it into their CNC into machine language, because they don't provide a CNC. If Danny was doing people a real service, and maybe he does this, he would provide a .dxf. He would provide a CAD file for that thing that you could just give to your local guy, and they could put it in their machine, and then it would just cut that shit. I think he does have somebody that does do this cutting of that, and then they send it to you in a flat pack. Then you have to do the joinery, and you have to paint it and all that shit. What a pain in the ass. So to me, I'm leaning towards Rhythmic, because they're already complete and ready to go, and you just set them up. Hey, Mikey, what's your thoughts on Octave amps? Fisher & Fisher used them at Munich. I know nothing about Octave, so I don't have any thoughts on them. I have my favorites, and it's not Octave, but I've never had an Octave, so I don't really know anything about them. So sorry. So when Canada becomes the 51st state, exactly. See, he knows. Can I just go take what I want, or how does that work? So exactly. So Eric understands. This is fucking with people. You say some shit like the 51st state, you're fucking with Justin Trudeau. You're poking that bitch in the chest. You're poking him, and it's on purpose. It's on purpose. And I'm not saying it's, nice or tactful or gentlemanlike, but it does work. Do you happen to know how Nat is measuring the output power of their amps? No. Why? Is it only at 1 kilohertz? What about the entire frequency range? Yeah, no, I don't know what they are. I don't know. Basically, what Philo looks like. You're from, where are you? In Greece? That looks like a Greek name. He's trying to figure out, how conservative are the wattage ratings. I can tell you by what he's asking me, he's trying to determine. If he wanted to ask a very direct question, he would say, how true are those ratings? Like how are they measuring? If I tell him how they're measuring, he's going to know if 80 watts is a stroke job or if 80 watts is real accurate and it's underrated. He's trying to see if they fluff or not. If it's a 1 kilohertz, it's going to be a fluff. If it's entire frequency range at 80 watts, that's fucking incredible, right? So I'm pretty sure they use a test tone. Very few people use 20 to 20, otherwise known as, what is it, white noise or pink noise? Pink noise is 20 to 20. And then measuring the output with pink noise. It's a good question. It's a good question, and I don't know the answer to it. But I can ask. I can find out. Are you in Greece or are you in the United States? If you're in USA, just call me up and I'll get you the answer. I mean, if you're in Greece, call me up and I'll get you the answer. But maybe you have a NAT audio dealer there. I don't know. We effing love Trump in this household. There you go. I talked to my cousin this weekend and she asked a question. She's like, it's so funny. People don't know what they're like. What are you? You can tell what they're going to ask. They don't know how to say it. And it's funny. We have another big race this weekend. Going to gather the connectors and send a sample soon, dude. Sweet, man. Do it. I'll make you up some badass RC car cables. Do I think that a good preamp with playback design MPD6 will match the MPD8? It's a good question. It's a good question. I don't think so. Because what the MPD8 has that the 6 doesn't is extreme good stereo separation. Because the boards are left to right, all left to right power supply, left to right boards, output boards, and it's very much dual mono design, which the MPD6 is not. So you adding a good preamp is not going to give you like better separation from the conversion process. So I would say no. I would say it probably. I don't think so. And what you and we can dig into this question a little deeper, okay? Which is, how much did the preamp cost? What's a better question is, what's the preamp worth on the used market if you sell it, okay? And then what does it cost you to get a playback MPD6? You take those two numbers and put them together, and then you do the math, right? So if you've got the MPD6 is 15 grand, if you've got it's going to take a $20,000 preamp to compete with an MPD8 output section. It beat my $26,000 preamp. So it's going to take a world-class preamp to be on that level. Something really, really expensive. You know, when we were comparing them, we were using $60,000 preamps. So you might as well just get an MPD8. By the way, I will have an MPD8. I think I'm taking a version 1 trade in. So if anybody wants a version 1 MPD8, I'm going to have one for sale here shortly. And it'll be in perfect condition, and I will give it a full warranty as new. Just call Mikey, and you can't get a full warranty as new if you buy one on the used market, but you can from me since I'm a dealer. That's something that I'm doing myself. It's not something that Playback does. Is that a Loughton Atlantis microphone? No, it's not. It's Neumann. See if I can. Well, I can't really rotate. That's a Neumann, made in Germany. I don't know what Loughton is, but it does sound German as well. What was the crossover slopes of your custom 4-way? Whatever you want them to be. So you build little, I don't think I have the boards in here. Whatever you want them to be. They could be Butterworth, they could be Linkwitz Riley, they could be all the different, whatever one you want. They could be 18, 24, 12s. You could put brick walls on them. You could put whatever. It's a card that goes in there, and depending how which card I have and how I solder them up with which values will make them different. Clearly, the ones that are, 24 dB are freaking loaded, full tilt, every slot is full. The ones that are 12 sixes have one resistor, one one capacitor. So they're whatever slopes you want them to be, and they're whatever configuration you want them to be. So they're infinitely adjustable. To all not knowing the full story, I trolled Mikey heavy about the Trump 50% EU tariff, pointing out all the brands that he sells would be affected by such a tariff threat. Yeah, and I'm like, dude, whatever. He's trying to get my goat. I'm like, dude, wrong, dude. It's not even going to happen, first of all. Second of all, then we just adjust it, The World Bank wants World War III because the financial system is melting down. Same play, different day. War is very profitable for the bad guys. War pigs. F the war pigs. Yeah, I'm anti-war, definitely. There you go. Mikey admits being OCD in his early days, including his early YouTube videos and his landmark patents about cable design. Playback designs cured Mikey of his OCD. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, even back then, it wasn't that I have true OCD, because I don't. I don't have it like the real people that have it. Like it's an issue. Like I don't have tics, I don't wash my hands a lot. I don't do those little ritual things that OCD people do. I don't turn all my labels in the refrigerator facing forward, anything like that. It was intended originally just to say I'm goofy about hi-fi and the things that I think are important. So let me just call it OCD hi-fi guy, because everybody can relate. Any audiophile that's done, like, say, what Nick did, they can relate to OCD. And even if it's tongue-in-cheek and it's not real OCD, we all know what we're talking about when we say OCD hi-fi. It causes you to chuckle because you can relate in some way. The interview with Andreas was cool too. Can you schedule him to join a live stream so we can throw some questions at him? Absolutely, man. Not a problem. He's really good like that. The guy that's hard to get is Jeff Rowland. Jeff Rowland does not like to do interviews with anybody, and he doesn't send shit for reviews. He's over it. My jet is in the shop getting wrapped in gold foil. It should be done in a few days. Sweet. You know what I saw that was super cool? I was at the Technology Museum, Science and Technology Museum in Chicago, and we saw an original 727 that it was built in like 1962 or something like that. And man, they were so cool how they were built. You can just see all the frickin' rivets, man. There were so many rivets, just the manufacturing, and so many panels all stuck together. All these oval like doors, like it must be for each like actuator, hydraulic actuator had a little door if they needed to get in there to fix something. All these ovals, and then polished aluminum. The whole belly of the plane was polished aluminum. And it was just an amazing thing to see. Remember when they used to have the tails that they went up like that on the back, and then they had a tail up top. Right now, the tail is down here and it sticks up. But before, they used to have it up there. I can only imagine the stresses that it must put on the vertical with that thing. But and they were fast. We looked up the specs on that thing. Those things were faster than shit. They did like 550 miles an hour at 45,000 height. Like they were freaking rockets. They must have changed it for like fuel economy reasons, but the old planes were fast, baby. They hauled ass. Now we got slow ass ones that still take us freaking 4 hours or whatever to get 5 hours to get across the United States. Ridiculous. Warming up the OG version MQ88 Luxman tube amp for after the show. Cool, man. Classic push-pull Tetrode KT88. Sold the Delta Monos, which is kind of bittersweet because we loved them. On the hunt now for 10 to 25K solid state. What you need, brother, is a Jeff Rowland 555. If you're in that thing is 16 grand. And it is kick ass. I'll guarantee that it is everything you want in an amp, or your money back, 100% of it. Trust me on that, bro. You know that I'm my word is good. Would you ever carry panel speakers? What will it be? I don't think I will. I don't think I will. I think there's too much that goes along with a panel speaker. They're too tweaky. They're just too tweaky. There is no panel speaker, in my opinion, that does everything. All of them need subwoofers. And with that, now you have to have a room to set them up. The panel speakers need to be tall. They need to be taller than you. Otherwise, when you stand up, you stand out of the sound field. So they need to be tall. That means 7 feet, okay? 6 feet minimum. Little ones, you can aim them up. I suppose they can be good, but when you stand up, you get out of the sound field. So no, I'm not really into panel speakers. By the way, I do have some panels made by Audio Analog that are like Magnapans on steroids. I don't think I'll carry them because, again, I'm going to specialize in very few options, which is what makes me different than offering you 1,000,001 things and not. I believe in certain things and other things I'm not that into. Some dealers have the opinion, well, sell the person whatever they want, okay? But then I'm not doing you a service because you might not know what the hell sounds good. You might want something that is not the right thing for you because you just don't know any better. So I can't sell you whatever you want. I sell you what I know is going to satisfy you. That's it. And I'm not going to sell you something that's hard to set up and that really depends on a room and is music dependent and all this kind of shit. Because some things don't sound good with rock and they only sound good with, jazz vocal, and other things don't sound good with jazz vocal and they sound great with rock, but then there's very few things that can do it all. That's the one I'm going to sell for you, to you. So I don't think I will carry panel speakers. Too much involved with them. Too many people jumping on the bandwagon. They've gone retarded in price. They're not worth it because there's no cabinet to me. So that to get a panel speaker to me should be half the price of an equivalent box speaker, just because of what goes into building a box speaker is much harder than what goes into a panel, in my opinion. Okay, I'm sure there's people that could argue, well, putting foil on a membrane is very hard. Okay, well, whatever. You have no cabinet. You got a fucking flat frame, a picture frame with a membrane in it, and you're gonna tell me it's $100,000? Get the fuck out of here. I mean, that's how I feel about panel speakers. It's bullshit. Okay, and the prices that they charge. So just the whole thing has become a fad, and then people are trying to do Magnapan better than Magnapan is, and Maggie's were reasonably priced. They still are with the LRS Plus, but they have also gone up. And it's just, it's become kind of a mess. So I'm not, there is no one, and there's no one that does it perfect for me without a bunch of extraneous gear, a bunch of extra cables, a bunch of extra power cords, a bunch of extra bullshit, as far as I'm concerned. And then that just means it's harder for you. It's not that one part is, the person is selling you a bunch more shit, but the other thing is just makes it, the more shit that's in there, that you're not even gonna be able to set it up. I was at a guy's house who did the same thing that Nick was talking about. He did all the things that I talked about. He got Magnapan 3.7s. He got stacked, the GR research stack, and we made him the boxes and I sold him the subs. And and he's got so many moving parts, and he moved his house and I was there in Chicago anyways. It was lucky that he was just doing it at that time, but he has no idea how to put it together. Somebody has to be hired to put it together. Now, if I sell you a system that's Fisher & Fisher, Jeff Rowland, and MPD8, nobody needs to be there ever to set up your shit, ever. You will always be able to handle it. And if you move, it will be simple and straightforward. I can, over the phone, tell you how, look at the pictures and tell you how to set up the speakers in your room. And that's all you need to be concerned about is walking your speakers into the position where they go, or sliding them if they have sliders on the bottom. But it should never, in my opinion, all this hyper tweaky shit with extra crossovers and bringing subs in and trying to integrate subs and do all that shit. It's just that's for tweakers, man. And there's no need to do that. If we had to do that, that's one thing. But to make the decision to do that, it's like making the decision to have 3 kids every 2 years apart, and now you've got a 6-month-old, a freaking, a 2.5-year-old and a 4.5-year-old. And okay, some people may be cut out for that or want that or whatever, but you're going to need a support staff for handling the kids, just like you're going to need a support staff for handling and a panel set up with a whole bunch of shit, you know? So still talking about that. Haven't even got to Andrew's thing yet, which was, would you recommend felt to cover the walls of a listing room, or those acoustic wood slats? Whatever you want. The acoustic wood slats are felt behind the wood slats. So it's felt with intermediate, you know, so it's reflective and absorptive. Putting felt on the walls kills slap echo. You know, it kills high frequency, you know, but it, depending on how thick you do it and what your room's like, you could kill high frequency. And then you could, you know, and then you could really need to have something boosting or something really, you know, so there is no one answer to that. I think you're probably better off with the wood slats. At Philo Mikey has no interest in panels. He mentioned that a few live streams ago. True. Have I heard bass systems integrated into the room, like double bass array or infinite baffle subs, one side on the outside? Well, I don't know to what you mean double bass array. It sounds like, you know, like a drummer uses a double bass array. I don't know what double bass array. Infinite baffle is something that's used. That's open baffle. That's what infinite baffle is. Open baffle. Infinite baffle is like a term used in car audio. So I'm not sure it's used in home audio. They call them open baffle is what they call them. And yes, I have heard them. Open baffle does not make good bass. I love the squirrely stuff you used to do. I'm also old enough to know it's over the top to some degree. I love the thinking, though, for sure. Yeah, man. If you have a lot of time to sit and consume social media, then sure, you know, or you have time to burn just talking about, like, you know, so funny, man. I was at a founders meeting when I was in Chicago. These are all young founders of companies worth from anywhere from, I think on the low end, 20 million up to several hundred million. And they're young guys. They're in their 30s and 40s. One of these dudes is worth, I don't know, I think he was probably had a net worth of maybe 100 million, you know? And he's in the tech sector. And I showed him some hi-fi. And he's like, oh, that's wild. Vacuum tube. You know, I showed him my rig. He saw my vacuum tube. He goes, oh, I did an experiment the other day where I was trying to make x-rays in my house. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, a light bulb. If you take a light bulb, and he's like, and you take a power supply out of a microwave oven, so it's got 20,000 volts, and then you put a metal rod on one end, and then you put the other end of the electrode on the top of the light bulb, you can bring it up close. And he shows me a video. This dude is doing this at his house, and he's got a Geiger counter that's reading radiation, and it's like 0, 0. And he turns on this thing and brings this rod near the light bulb, and the lightning bolt is going right to the light bulb. And he's like, and he's got 2 9-volt batteries heating the filament, you know, and then you can see the lightning going into the lights glowing, and it glows more. Then it just cooks the tungsten, right? It just fire inside the thing, and it burns out. And you watch his Geiger counter is going tick, 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 up higher, 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 higher. Like, holy shit, he's making x-rays. I'm like, dude, what? I just laughed. I was like, dude, typical overachieving fucking founder worth hundreds of millions or $100 million or whatever in his 30s is making x-rays in his living room for fucking fun. I'm like, I mean, there's no, like, that was just for fun. Like, he's not making any money for it. There's no reason that he's doing that to research something he's working on. It's not a thesis. It's not anything like that. I wonder if I could make x-rays, you know? I'm like, holy shit. So look, if you have a mind and time for that now, and I was talking to the guy, and I was like, holy shit, is this guy on coke or something? Like, I was like, he's really tweaky. Like, his brain was that tweaky and intense that I thought he was high on cocaine. Like, that's how intense this guy was. But he's just an uber achiever, you know, very awkward. Like dude, like, not like you wonder what's wrong with this guy, but he's like, it's because he's like genius level tweaky weirdo. So my brain, at this point in my life, is not operating at the same frequency that my brain was when I was doing all that shit. So if you get me alone and we're talking, right? We're sitting somewhere, we're after dinner having a cigar, and you start talking about hi-fi to me, you're going to lose me in 3.1 seconds. In 3.1 seconds, I'm going to be completely bored and daydreaming. You're going to be talking, I'm going to be looking at your lips, and I'm going to be hearing Charlie Brown's Teacher, womp, 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 because it's boring to me. There's nothing interesting about it. Now, if we're talking about music and we're listening to tunes, now I'm engaged. But if we're talking about hi-fi gear and different shit and whatever, I can talk about it a little bit, but it's boring shit for me, man. There's not that much to talk about. That Roland Damon is luscious. That is a bitch of an amp, man. That thing is crazy. That thing was Jeff's masterpiece. Yeah, there's still some available. I was thinking about pulling some of those. I'm more attracted to the amps now that are all-in-ones. They got to have a streamer on them. I don't like having to add anything extra, and it's got to be plug and play. I'm not going to sell you something that you need to go on, type in, or map the network or do any bullshit like that. Like, I know you could do it because I know you're smart like that, but most of us just want to plug and play some shit. We want to open up our Rune and see that bitch right there, like ready to go, or our bubble UPnP or M Control HD, whatever, and see that shit right there. We don't want to have to look for it or find it on the network. And why isn't it on the network? And did we, is it, all that bullshit, man. It's got to be simple. Jared's rig has 555 installed to drive his big Fisher and Fishers. Yes. So does Andy's. Andy's, both of the rigs there in our listening rooms are complete. Jared's is 100%. They're both 100% Mikey rigs. So both of them, if you want to hear a Mikey rig, you can hear two of them in Chicagoland. There's two of them in Michigan. There are, and then we're building them across the United States. There's one in Northern California. There are that are 100% Mikey rigs, not just Fisher and Fisher speakers or just MPD8. I'm talking about 100% Mikey system. There's one in Portland. I think Tommy still needs to get an amp from me. And we'll get you a better amp. I mean, you've got a pretty good amp, but Tommy, don't you have you've got the if I remember correctly, it's the Pass Labs integrated. We can do better for you when the time is right. Motown, man, I'm coming to Detroit, brother. Are you in Detroit? What do you think of the Daniel Hertz Maria 350 amp? Man, Daniel Hertz Maria 350, I'll tell you one thing. Mark is effing on point with the way he thinks. Mark understands the simplicity thing. And look, this is a guy who's been doing high-end audio his whole life. You think he's going to make a freaking CD transport? Hell no. Some of these damn brands are still making CD transports. I saw a freaking advertisement for a brand that is, and I love the brand too. I'm not going to say what it is, but and they released a CD transport and it said, the crown jewel of your audio system. I'm like, holy shit. Are you actually trying to perpetrate that pitch that a fucking CD transport is even possible, that it could be a crown jewel of an audio system? I'm like, oh God, talk about backwards country fuck pitches. Like, that is some backwards ass shit you're trying to fucking pull off. And then that just, God, it makes me want to puke. It's just so fucking painful for me to hear that shit in our industry. And then just realize this is the shit you guys have to deal with all the time, is fucking statements like that from companies that I respect even. It's like, God damn, our industry is so fucking ass backwards. It is fucking ridiculous. And the fact that they're trying to tell you that all this shit and that it's worth $365 or that you should spend $685,000. I saw another thing about a Wilson system in Munich, $4 million or whatever the fuck it is. You're just like, oh my God. You know who that's for? That's for nobody. That's for fucking nobody. There's what? 2 people in the fucking world that own that? 5, and 3 of them are in Dubai. It's like, do you know how alienating that is to anybody trying to get in the industry? These guys are killing the fucking industry, or maybe they see the end of it. Maybe this is what it is. Maybe they see and they know it's dying and they're just doing their last grasp, their last dying grasp. So they're going for the fucking big buck billionaires to try and just grasp because the rest of the industry is eviscerated for them, The shit's numbered, brother, and we are building a better mousetrap with the Hi-Fi Tribe. And you will be privy to it shortly, but it's going to be so much fucking cooler than what the hell's going on right now. Because what the hell's going on right now is some backwards ass shit. Daniel Hertz Maria is forward looking. I think it's a great rig. I think it for me misses the mark in a couple different ways. No pun intended. I like systems that are all in one. Okay. I want a fucking streamer. I want a remote control. I don't want to have to use a goddamn computer. I don't want a computer that I need to connect with a fucking USB cord and all this bullshit. Fuck that. Okay. We have better technology than that. You plug that shit into the Ethernet. Okay. And then have 2 speakers. Okay. Now we're cooking with fire. Okay. Pull up your goddamn, your tablet, whether it's an Apple or whether it's an Android, that should be just as easy with either one. And bam, pull it up. You see it immediately. You can play freaking tunes immediately. Okay. That's what I'm after. And that's what we will be putting together. Even if we commission it and have it made for us, we will do that. So trust me, hang with your boy Mikey, and you will have a solution that is very easy and that is as good as any of these freaking complex retarded systems that sounds as good. And trust me, I've had the complex retarded systems, so I know what sounds good and I know what doesn't cut the mustard. And so you'll have that, and they will be coming. But Daniel Hertz and Maria, I don't think it quite gets it all the way, but it's a great piece. It sounds freaking awesome. But for me, it doesn't quite cross the goalpost. However, if somebody at the price point it's at, it is absolutely worth it. And you can buy them from me. I sell them. I don't push them because it's not in my mind. I have a hard time pushing something that I don't feel is a perfect product. And yet some people say there is no perfect, but I beg to differ. There's pretty fucking close to perfect, and that's what I like to deal in. I think the Daniel Hertz Maria comes as close as anything to dinging the bell, but not quite. But it's freaking phenomenal. The only drawback is that it needs an outside streamer. Okay, and that's it. If you have it's kind of friendlier for Apple guys because Mark is an Apple guy. He loves Apple. It does work with Android, but or PC. But if you have a Mac Mini, like that's how Maria 350 is going to be the best. If you have a Mac Mini and you got a TV screen in between, even better. Now you've got a full solution, and it's great. But I'm after the gold ring. I'm after something that nobody else has. If we have to build it have it built for us. Well, I won't build it in-house, but we do have capital enough to have things built for us. And I'm not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. In the spirit of gambling, don't ever bet against your own blood. Daughters Trio struggled all season and freaking out of nowhere took gold. A bill down the drain. In the spirit of gambling, don't ever bet against your own blood. Are you talking about you bet against your daughters? Struggled all season, so you bet against them. He shorted. He shorted his daughters and the market, and then they took the gold. Good, man. You deserve to lose the $100. You deserve it, man. You bet against your own blood, dude. That's sacrilege, man. You gotta be in there for them. Don't tell them that. I hope they don't know that. Have you ever tried Barkley's stuff? You mean Berkeley? Not Charles Barkley, but you're talking about Berkeley, like Berkeley, California. Yes, I don't like Berkeley. It's not my thing. It doesn't mean they're not good. I'm not into Berkeley stuff. It's not my brand, not my thing. I know better DACs and I sell better DACs. In my opinion, again, I'm here as a professional with my opinion. I serve a certain type of dish. I'm a chef and I cook up certain vittles. And if you like the taste of my vittles, then you come back. If you don't, then you just go elsewhere. It's no big deal. Hey, Mikey. Hello, tribe. Clark checking in from Oahu. What's up, Clark? Good to see you, brother. Hey, you can only listen to Dire Straits, Norah Jones, and Harry Belafonte on audiophile systems, son. I know I do like Dire Straits. Dire Straits has some great sounding music, and actually, Mark Knopfler's solo stuff is really done well. Norah Jones, beautiful singer, but yeah, it's got a short legs on it in terms of and Harry Belafonte. I don't even know Harry Belafonte, so I could probably listen to it and it would be fine because I don't know any of the music. Yeah, Raz, to you too. Razmataz, where are you, Rachel? Where do you hail from? What city? What would you rather recommend? A PC with JCAT, net, and USB XE cards, or just a dedicated streamer at about $4,000 to $5,000? I would go with the dedicated streamer at about $4,000 to $5,000 because you get support with it. If you make your own, you get no support. If you buy one complete, you get full tilt support. You should. Hi-Fi is kind of like women. It's about trying to get the best, so you're constantly comparing. I guess. That could be, again, it's obvious that you're young, brother. And I don't mean any sort of a diss at all. But yeah, it's, let me try and join your train of thought here and see if I can add to it. In many ways, yeah, the most beautiful ones are a pain in the ass. We could say that, we could say when you find one that you want to marry. Okay, so let's put it this way. I'm the matchmaker and I seek to find you the one that you marry. Okay, so I put people together so they get married, not so that they're out there. I don't give them the spike-heeled, highfalutin, pain in the ass that are short rides. I put people together so that they can get married. Having a great system may make you like songs you never liked before you have that new system. Totally true. And it may wake you up to certain things that you are certain music that you never really knew was bad to the fucking bone. For instance, 9 Inch Nails. I never knew 9 Inch Nails. And then I met Ryan Scott and he taught me about Trent Reznor and 9 Inch Nails. And then, I thought it was cool, but I listened to it a little bit, but I never. And then today I listened to it at Jared's system and I was like, holy shit. I was like, this shit is so badass. It's so, it just defies words, man. And it really, not only does it make you like songs that you never liked before, but it helps you to realize how fucking badass some music is. Like how really killer it is. You're like, holy shit. Even like Mahler, like John Greeny, your guy up there, you went by, Rev, and met Greeny. Greeny turned me on to that song by Mahler. And Greeny told me that song is what got him into wanting to be a symphony player. Because I asked him, dude, you're a cool motherfucker. Like, you listen to Tool and shit. Like, how are you in the symphony even? You're like a headbanger, dude. Like, how did you get into why are you even in the symphony was my question. And he said, I listened to this Mahler piece, my buddy and I, let me put this on. And he had a buddy with him who was God, what symphony was that guy? But he was another orchestra guy, and they listened and they were like, oh yeah, this part. And they played this part. And I heard that thing. And they're like, this part made us want to do it. Like it was this is heavy metal. And when you listen to Mahler, in many ways you go, this was heavy metal of the time. So he's a headbanger now because with modern music, Tool, whatever. But back in the day, if you listen to Mahler in the day when Mahler was alive, you were just as extreme of a metalhead as the guys listening to Tool right now. It's the equivalent. It's totally the equivalent. It's the heavy metal of classical music. And it's badass. You listen to it, you're like, holy shit, some of this stuff is intense. It's big, it's scary, it's ominous, you know, super cool. So I got into classical not knowing that I would even get into classical. 11 stereo taking over the world. No, it's not quite. We're just offering a solution. We are offering a solution, and I think it will be very successful because we're offering a solution that makes sense. That is currently the industry is exactly the opposite. We're going the exact opposite other way of the industry, and it's going to be great. Dano got some 6 speakers. He did. He loves those things, man. He loves them. He still wants Fisher and Fisher though. The Fishers are better than what he's got, but what he got for the price he got those for, holy shit. Those are the top of the line Vienna acoustics. And I think he got them for 10G or maybe 9, you know, and that's a $50,000 speaker right now. They are killer. What do I think of Jay's Audio Lab constantly changing his expensive gear? I think he buys and sells used audio gear. And so I think the reason that his speakers, if they're gone, aren't there is because they were sold. And I think he'll get another pair of used speakers in that he will listen to for a while and sing the virtues and sell those because that's the business he's in. So that's what I think. It's perfectly, there's nothing wrong with it. I think Jay's a good guy, you know, you know, he's making a living making a living for his wife and his daughter. He's a daddy, and he's got to take care of his daughter and his wife. And so he's working hard, man. And you know, many times I'm one of the guys that what you see on my YouTube channel is what I am. And then some other people, they've got their work. It's like game face, right? They've got their game face and then they've got their home face. And, you know, I know Jay as a person as a regular guy, you know, just a dude that I shoot the shit with. And then I know, you know, his guy that he's what he does for his channel, and he does well, and he gets a lot of views, and he's built it up great doing what he's doing. You know, he knows what people want. There's a good example of somebody using things like we talked about Trump and tariffs and saying things that cause focus. Like you can use certain terms and certain things in titles that cause people to click. And he's got that down. He does a good job at it. But I don't think in any way he's trying to find the perfect nirvana and stay there. I think he is that's not his prerogative. His prerogative is to you know, to continue to move merchandise, you know. And I don't know if does he say that? I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched his channel in a long time, so I don't know. I thought he has a channel in his website, and he's got used stuff and whatever. I think it's probably pretty clear. What kind of AC power cable would you recommend to clean out the power current? In-wall cords. Clean out the power current. What do you mean clean out? You mean filter? What kind of AC power cable would I recommend to filter the AC power? And then you say in-wall cords. So there should be no in-wall cable that cleans anything. It should just be wire. I'm not sure I understand your question. Who's on the phone? That was, and sorry, I should have said it if I didn't say it. That was Nick from Brooklyn. He's a customer and a viewer of mine. You know, I have people call me like sometimes they don't even want to buy something. They just calling to say, hey, I've been watching you. And I just wanted to say hello. They just want to meet me. And then Nick then had questions, you know, like, am I doing this right? Like, I want to put in, like, you talked about this, and he'd refer to something in one of my videos. You talked about doing this, you know, what do you mean? Should I do it like this or should I do it like that? I got this part. He sent me a picture of a part. Is this the right kind of part and thing? And then, you know, that's when I talked to him. Don't use zinc bolts to bolt your shit because it's magnetic. Use non-magnetic shit, you know, because I can tell you how to do something freaking OCD to the max. Like if you're building something, I can tell you the absolute farthest, best, way to do it. If you want to cut 0 corners, Teflon PC boards, with silver traces, or ceramic PC boards with pure silver traces. And then we could go on from there, right down to non-magnetic screws to just on and on and on. I went down the rabbit hole. Oh shit, that was Nick, rad dude. Yeah, that was Nicky from Brooklyn. I thought that was Shane calling in. I was about to stop the stream. No worries, man. It's a Brooklyn boy. I have Maggie 3.7X. Bass is much better, but it still needs a sub for under 80 hertz. Absolutely. I had Maggie 20.1s, and even those needed bass, subs. There is no panel, in my opinion, that does not need a sub. I mean, there's some that you could get away with not having them, but you're going to increase their performance by giving the bass duty to a sub, a traditional sub. Had good luck using lasers when dialing the speakers in solo. It's very easy to visualize the toe angles. Totally. You just look at the speaker left and right, and if you can't, you start out where you can't see either side of your speaker, where the tweeters are straight at your ears and you can't see the side panels, the outside edges of the speaker. Then it's dead nuts on. If it's a little bit toe in, you're going to see a little bit of the back left side of the speaker. It makes sense. If it's a little toe out, you're going to see the inside of the speaker. So you fuck with like if you imagine those tweeters are laser beams, since we're talking about lasers, they're either going to cross, and where they cross when you toe in, they're either going to cross in front of you, and then they're going to come as you toe them out. That cross is going to move back till it goes past your ears, and then till it's crossing behind your head. And your perfect spot is not the same in every room. And it sometimes it needs to cross in front of you. Sometimes it needs to hit right at your ears. Sometimes it needs to cross behind you, and you need to play with that and then find out. Basically, you're trying to make the speakers disappear. That's what you're looking for. The dual GR Research sub stacks are built already, 3 drivers each used. So would the Sonics beat a pair of rhythmic subs? I don't know, buddy. I mean, it depends, Michael, on how well they were built and if they're wired correctly. Okay. So if they're wired out of phase, then no, they're not going to beat the rhythmic subs. If everything's perfect, yes, they're going to beat them. Okay. I think that's what you're looking for. If everything's perfect with them, yes, it's going to be better. They're going to be faster. They're going to fill the room better. I think pinpoint imaging is a hi-fi trick. Live unamped music is not pinpoint. Well, I think the way it is it's not pinpoint meaning everything in one point. It's pinpoint meaning the drums are there, the guitar's there, the vocal's dead center, but I can hear that the drums are behind the vocal. That's pinpoint imaging, layered, and then where everything is in its own place. And when you're at live music, typically it's like that, if they've done a good job. Which Neumann? It is a, It is a BCM 705. BCM 705. It's the broadcast mic. It's the same one Howard Stern uses, evidently, what they told me. It's for broadcast, for vocals. Yeah, fuel economy is slower now. A lot of bypass. The old 727 had true jet, no bypass. Oh, that's right. You work for Boeing, dude. This was a badass original Boeing, brother. It was tough, dude. I was like, I want to fly on that motherfucker. It looked just badass. It's like looking at an AC Cobra. That's what I felt like I was looking at. I'm like, I just feel like I'm looking at an AC Cobra, something that's just gnarly, got way too much thrust for its own good, like it just looked badass. And they had a cutaway of the jet engine, and they were rotating so you could see those fans and how they all, which is very interesting to me. I was trying to see, like, where's the combustion chamber? I could see a fuel rail, and it looked like it came to like a cylindrical can type thing that was kind of scalloped. It had layers in it. And then I was wondering, but what ignites it? Is there a spark plug? What ignites the fuel air mixture in a jet? you know, and then it comes, it looked like I couldn't clearly see how it worked. Like you look at a car engine, an internal combustion car engine, it's really easy to see how it works. You know, it explodes, you know, the mix goes in here, it explodes, it shoves that piston down, you know, there's a flywheel that continues the inertia to bring the other one up, and they stagger all the pistons so that it totally makes sense. You can look at it and it makes sense. Whereas this jet engine, I was looking at a cutaway and I'm like, wow, okay, so where's the spark plug? You know, where's like, what does it push? You know, what does it goes from an explosion to what? Maybe you could explain it. I know you could explain it better. My Maggies suck at rock and roll. Yeah, I know. If you got the bass out of them, and again, you get proper amps with them, Maggies can sound really good with rock. But that's the thing. You get Maggies, you need to know Maggies. You need to know how to tweak them. You need to know their idiosyncrasies, their things, you know. And once you learn all that shit, like I did over years and years, then you know how to make them play rock well. But it's like, you know, typically take the bass out of them, put them into some subs. If it's too harsh on the top, you need to look at your DAC or your amp, and then maybe you put something in the fuses, or you bypass the fuses even better, because the fuse hole apparatus on the back of that thing is a bottleneck for sound. It bottlenecks it. You need to get rid of that thing. Everyone tries panels at one point. I had Apogees for a while. Nice highs, but limited for sure. Yeah, Apogees are really cool. For sure. They still sound good. My open baffles make amazing bass, Mike. They ain't like the bass shy pure projects or spatials. Hopefully you can hear them when you're out in Cali. Yeah, well, I mean, to make bass from a open baffle, it is a proximity to the front wall thing. So pure audio project makes bass when you put it like fucking ass against the front wall. You get good bass that way. Pure audio project cannot be into the room whatsoever. So typical things like Magnepans, things like that, you put them into the room, and maybe the ones that you have, you put them into the room. But pure audio projects, you do not put them in the room. You basically touch the frame to the front wall, and then they get bass. So yeah, but yeah, man, if I come out there, I'd love to check it out. OMA gear is interesting, not to me, and the owner is a fascinating character, not to me. Yeah. So I'm glad you're fascinated by him. I don't. That Jonathan guy loses me. I've heard stories about people that have gone to his place, and he just seems like he's a rare bird. He doesn't. I guess I don't know him, you know, so I can't comment. But from what I see online and shit like that, he looks like a sculptor that made sculpture that plays music. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. I don't look at it like an audio company. I look at it like a functional sculpture company that's a hipster, you know, cool, you know, New York thing. You know, there's a couple brands that are from New York that I think they're hipster brands. They're just like cool art shit for people that have cool lofts in New York and just want some cool shit to put in their cool apartments. That's what I see about Oswald Mill. I don't think he'll ever be a part of the industry, and I don't know that he wants to be, but I've seen him complaining about it on his videos. But the industry will never accept him into the industry. He just won't be. He's it's a sculpture, you know, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm glad that you're interested. I think some people, I saw it. I remember seeing it in Rob Report. Okay. So when you see the shit in Rob Report, that probably launched the guy, you know, into selling to people that don't give a shit about music, or I don't know. I really have no idea. I'm just being judgy. I am in Hartford, Connecticut, originally from southern Westchester, New York. Okay, cool. I don't know shit about Connecticut, but I think it's nice up there. I think there's a lot of audio companies up there. Yo, tribe, smoking my father's opulencia on my deck in Portland. Got to get out here, brother. Oh, it's Greeny. Dude, I forgot, Greeny, that you smoke stogies, bro. I've got a box of my father's there. I just got some really cool. You know what I tried last night, bro? Lanceros. So I went to a cigar shop in Chicago that specializes in Lanceros, and they've got all these different high-end Lanceros. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try this shit because I never picked that Vitola ever. I'm just like, it's too thin and whatever, you know? It's like a Virginia Slims ultra thin, you know? That's like how I see it, you know? Like, oh God, whatever. But I tried it, and as you know, you get a lot of the wrapper flavor from a Lancero. And so I tried it, and I kind of liked it. I liked the way it smoked, and I was like, I was intrigued by it. So I'm going to try some more of that Vitola and see how it goes. But yeah, man, my father's good stuff. The one that the Lancero that I got was Tatuaje. I got 4 of them, 4 Tatuajes. I will send you some Belafonte stuff. Yeah, man, cool. Turn me on. Mahler 4th Symphony is my favorite piece of music of all time. I love classical. Okay, I'll have to check out the 4th. Someone was telling me listen to the 9th today. Or was it the 5th? Let me see. That was the 2nd that we listened to. Let's see. Where am I? Who told me about that? Oh, it was David. Okay, here he says. What does he say? To really show off the Fisher and Fisher, get a copy of Mahler's 8th Symphony with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra with Georg Solti conducting. Decca, Symphony of 1,000 with orchestra, huge choir, and pipe organ. I believe, if memory serves me correctly, that you want to listen to side 4. So that's interesting. So everybody, yeah, I'll listen to the 4th as well, and we'll see what Rach has on deck for us. Speaking of classical, do you curate system based on genre? Is this the case for classical music? In this case for classical music, thanks. Should you respond? Of course I will. I don't. I curate systems based on systems that do all genres. Okay, but if you told me I only listen to classical, you know, it can be a little. Look, classical music, and my next question would be, how do you listen to it? Okay, if somebody says, I'm in a New York apartment, I listen to classical, I never listen to over 70 dB, I'm going to pick a certain type of system, and it's not going to be a Fisher and Fisher. Okay, if someone says, I like to hear full scale orchestral music, then they're getting Fisher and Fisher and Jeff Rowland, and they're going to hear the bombastic timpani, because you know, sometimes people think, oh, well, classical is, you know, it doesn't take much, but that's not true. I mean, maybe if you're playing like Brahms string quartet or some shit like that, then yeah, you can use a really light speaker, a real dainty, you know, speaker. But if you're playing Mahler, you know, and you're playing full clip, man, you need a speaker that can do timpani. And that it takes a lot. And man, that shit is startling when those what are they, like French horns and come in and shit, like it's I mean, it's like holy shit, you jump out of your chair. And that is big, and that is very hard to do. It is very hard. A symphony is a very complex piece of music. It's a very complex band, if you will, right? There's a lot going on, and to be able to hear that delineated into the proper sections and hear that in its in all the little distinct parts of a full symphony is hard to do. Normal systems will smear that shit. You'll hear a smear of symphony. You will not hear it delineated. But the kick-ass systems, Fisher and Fisher delineates that shit into, and with the MPD-8 or something similar, you get every little bit of that symphony, and it's mind-blowing. You're like, oh my God, you realize how powerful that shit is. That's what I never really realized, is how freaking strong. I always thought like orchestral music was like, you know, Bugs Bunny cartoons, like, you know, Brahms or whatever, you know, Mendelssohn, whatever, some nice little, you know, something you'd hear like in a museum looking at Monet's or some shit like that, right? But then you see like, oh, whoa, there's classical music that is, you know, Hieronymus Bosch, you know, or some shit like that, or Dali, or you know, Rodin or something like that, where it's just heavy duty, and you're like, oh my God. And then that's when you realize this is heavy metal, like this is hardcore, this is scary. Like I'm like, damn, Uh-oh. Oh my God. I don't know if I dare put Freud on. Whoops. Oh, I just dusted him. Okay, let me go back because he's going to start talking about the fucking, he's going to start talking about the, David Freud from Los Angeles. Hey, Freud.
Hey, dude.
You know,
I
I
didn't realize it was so late. That's why I hung up.
Oh, you did hang up. Okay, I thought I hung up on you. You realize you're calling during the live stream, right? You're talking to like 100 people right now.
Oh, where are you?
I'm at I'm at home. That's a good question actually, because my last 2 live streams have been from Chicago, but I'm at home now.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just came from the golf course and I had a nice round. So that was it. And so are you on live right now?
Yes. So are you.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hello, David.
Calling from not so sunny Los Angeles. And hopefully some guys are going to go to the show.
Yep.
And
we'll see. Ryan just texted me. He's asking. So I'll figure it out. I'm trying to coincide this with the other crap I have to do in California. So that I don't have to make 2 trips.
Yeah, go down to Costa Mesa, and then when you're done, go with the other people up north, or what?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So do it before or after, Yeah. And Ryan's going to be there. That's great. He's for sure coming, right?
I have no idea. We're talking to decide if we want to go. He said he'll go if I go, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if what I have to do there is going to be ready to do. And if it's not, then I may pass, but I would like to come. I would like to come.
It's a good show. And for whatever it's worth, there's a gazillion and one, all the Asian people come, I mean,
excellent.
It's, there's plenty of people that come from Japan and, it's closer than, going to Expona or something like that.
I got you.
So it's, I'm sure there'll be plenty of chi-fi there as well, but there's a lot of, I looked at who's showing and I don't remember it offhand, but it's a good lineup. There's some stuff I haven't seen that I want to see. So
cool, buddy.
So that's
okay.
Good.
Well, I'll holler back. I'll let you know tomorrow.
Oh, one last thing. I sent you a text. If you want to show off the Fisher and Fisher, I mean, to really show it off, you played Mahler Symphony.
Yeah. I read your text to everybody like 5 seconds ago. It's funny that you called. I thought that's why you were calling, because you heard me say that. I just said you were talking about the 8th Symphony.
Yeah, the 8th is called Symphony of 1,000, and it's a organ and a 1,000-man choir and a huge orchestra, and it's the loudest, biggest sound you ever heard. It's something astonishing. It's just they call it the Symphony of the Angels.
Okay, cool.
So it's all the angels singing. So it's
awesome.
It's something pretty glorious. So it's on Decca, and the English pressings are generally pretty good. So
okay, buddy.
That's the deal. Anyway, your by the way, your showroom in Chicago looks great.
Oh yeah. Thanks, man. There's 2 of them. Yeah, they're quite the experience, man. Both of them.
Well, so are you going to Chicago fairly often, or?
Well, I mean, I just did, and I like the city. So if I can convince somebody to give me a room up there and a place to keep a motorcycle, I'll keep a motorcycle up there and then just come in the summertime and hang out.
Don't go in the winter.
No.
Do yourself a favor.
Yep.
You should have something out in Los Angeles for Fisher and Fisher.
Yeah, absolutely. We will sooner or later. Just a matter of time. Yep.
Okay. Anyway, best to everybody, and
thanks,
we'll
buddy.
talk soon. Hopefully, try to come. We'll have some good deli food.
Yes. Okay. Cool, man. Sounds great.
That's the plan. All right, man. All the best.
All the best.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Dano in the house. What up, tribe? Dano, I just showed a pic with your speakers. And Vooch came on and said, yeah, man, Dano got some sick speakers. I said, yeah, he loves them. Hard to find killer sound in a venue. Yeah, you know, it gets to the point where it's just more about being there when a band's playing, and you almost don't really critique it so much, you know. So it's an igniter. Yeah, you know it, man. Hey, Rachel, Manchester, Connecticut here. Awesome. Maggies are finicky. They're very tricky. You need to know them. They're unique. Yeah. There are igniters like spark plugs. Oh, you're talking about it's an igniter. Oh, okay. So Max, I thought you were talking about incendiary statements. So it's an igniter instead of a spark plug. So Max knows aerospace evidently as well. And Rev works for Boeing right now. Yeah, there are igniters like spark plugs, but not the same. Those little fans compress the air fuel mixture, add full light it off. That's not what you're trying to say, but yeah, the little fans at the back, like so yeah, I'd like to see where the combustion happens, and then so you're saying when the combustion happens, it turns a fan. So that makes sense. It pushes a fan. Ryan probably knows. I know Ryan Scott's hanging out watching here in the background, man. He's lurking around. Ryan knows how it works. Ari, Mike's turn because he's a rotary engine guy. I know it's different, but it's the jet engine, but I know he knows how it works. Ari A, Mikey's turnkey systems do great on classical. I've got Jeff Rowland and Fisher. This is our Portland, one of our Portland locations. And Rev already went by and listened. I've got Jeff Rowland and Fisher. Killer. I don't think about upgrading anymore. Trust the chef. There you go. You got to trust the chef. Look at all the results. Absolutely. I would recommend Mozart's violin concertos for someone just getting into classical. Okay, there you go. Yo, homeboy, got a big mouth. Which one? Me? I definitely got a big mouth. I know that's right. Okay, so it looks like 2 hours and 11 minutes. So I am going to call it quits, man. I'm back home, just got back home, and I want to rest. So thanks everybody for joining. I will see you all at our same time on Sunday. And today's Wednesday. Yeah, so Sunday. I will see you all on Sunday. One last one, Killer Sound at Venue. Try Yoshi's. Yeah, man, we were going to go to Yoshi's next time I'm there. We missed it when we were there last. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and I will see you soon. See you.